Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where something just felt off? You couldn't quite explain it, but deep down, you knew this woman wasn't adding value to your life. Instead, she was draining it. Now let me ask you a deeper question. How many times have you ignored the red flags in love simply because your heart was louder than your reason? If that sounds familiar, then you need to stay with me until the end of this video, because today we are going to dive into 9 signs of a stupid woman through the lens of Stoic philosophy, especially the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and don't just watch the first 2 minutes, watch it till the very end. Because I promise this will not just entertain you, it will change your love life forever. Now let's build some context before jumping straight into the 9 signs. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What does that mean in relationships? It means the people we choose to love, especially women for men, shape our very soul. If she is wise, virtuous, and balanced, you will rise. But if she is shallow, foolish, and driven by destructive impulses, your soul will absorb that poison too. So today I will take you on a journey, not just to list the signs, but to make you feel them, as if Marcus Aurelius himself is whispering in your ear. Each sign isn't just a warning about her, it's a mirror, reflecting what you should avoid if you truly want to live like a Stoic. Strong and free man. 1. She lives only for appearances. Have you ever fallen for someone just because of the way she looked? Be honest. Maybe it was the way she smiled. Maybe it was the way she carried herself in public. Or maybe it was the endless pictures she posted online that made you think she was the perfect woman. But let me ask you another question. When the beauty and the filters fade, what remains? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not what we say but what we do that defines us." Now think about this carefully. What happens when a woman is defined only by what she shows, not by what she is? I'll tell you a story. A young man I knew fell deeply in love with a woman he met through social media. On her profile, she was dazzling. Flawless makeup, luxury dinners, trips abroad, inspirational captions. He thought to himself, this is it. She's the one. She's living the life I've always dreamed of. In the beginning, everything was intoxicating. She dressed like a movie star. She knew how to make heads turn, and she made him feel like the luckiest man alive. But soon cracks began to show. At dinner, while he wanted to talk about dreams, ambitions, and philosophies of life, she was more concerned about taking the perfect photo of the food. When he wanted to enjoy the moment, she was worried about uploading a story so people wouldn't forget her. And that's when he realized something painful. This woman wasn't living for herself, and she wasn't living for him. She was living for the audience. She was addicted to applause. Now let me ask you, have you ever experienced this? Maybe you had a girlfriend who spent hours getting ready just to go buy groceries. Or maybe you had someone in your life who couldn't enjoy a sunset unless she could capture it for others. Be honest, didn't you sometimes feel invisible? As if you were just a background in her movie? This, my friends, is the first sign of a stupid woman. She lives only for appearances. And the tragedy is this. A woman who lives for appearances can never give you depth. She can make you look good in photos, but she can never make you feel understood in silence. Marcus Aurelius would tell you, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If her thoughts are shallow, her soul is shallow, and if you tie yourself to her, your life becomes shallow too. So ask yourself right now, do you want a woman who impresses the crowd? Or do you want a woman who feeds your soul? Do you want someone who glitters under the lights? Or someone who shines even in the dark when no one else is watching? Remember this, beauty fades, filters fade, applause fades. But a wise woman's character, her kindness, her peace, her strength, those never fade. 2, she has no self-control. Have you ever loved a woman who was absolutely beautiful, exciting, full of energy, but also completely unpredictable? One day she was on top of the world. The next day she was drowning in her own chaos. And no matter how much you tried, you couldn't bring her stability because deep down, she lacked something essential, self-control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Now pause for a second. If a woman has no power over her own impulses, over her emotions, over her desires, what kind of strength can she bring into your life? None. In fact, she will drain yours. Let me take you into a story. A man I knew dated a woman who was dazzling in every sense. She was fun, adventurous, the kind of woman who could light up a room. But she had one weakness: she couldn't say no to her impulses. If she wanted to shop, she maxed out her credit cards. If she wanted to party, she would disappear into the night with friends, leaving him anxious. If she felt angry, she would explode, screaming, breaking things, storming out. At first, he thought, maybe it's just her fiery personality. Maybe this is passion. But passion without discipline is just destruction dressed in excitement. Slowly, he realized he wasn't dating a woman. He was managing a storm. And storms are not partners. They don't build, they only destroy. Now think about your own life. Have you ever been with someone who had no control over her words, her spending, her desires? Maybe she texted you relentlessly, then ghosted you. Maybe she was sweet in the morning, cruel by night. Maybe she was loyal when things were good. But the moment temptation knocked, she opened the door without hesitation. That is not love, that is chaos. And Marcus Aurelius would remind you that chaos outside often reflects chaos within. A woman without self-control is like a ship without a captain. She may sail beautifully for a moment, but eventually she will crash. And if you are on board with her, you will go down too. Now let's make it personal. Picture the calmest version of yourself, the man you want to be. Strong, balanced, at peace. Do you think you can ever remain that man while constantly cleaning up the mess of someone who refuses to master herself? Here's the truth. Self-control is the foundation of wisdom. A woman who cannot govern herself cannot love wisely, cannot stay loyal fully, and cannot grow steadily. She will always seek the next thrill, the next high, the next escape. So I ask you again, do you want a partner who grounds you or one who shakes you? Do you want a woman who builds a home with you or one who burns it down with her own restlessness? Because remember this, a wise man may love deeply, but he never surrenders his peace to someone who has none. She loves drama more than peace. Have you ever been in a relationship where it felt like peace was forbidden? Where every quiet moment was quickly replaced with an argument, an accusation, or some sudden emotional storm? If you've experienced this, then you already know what it means to be with a woman who loves drama more than peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Now think about this. If a woman's thoughts are filled with suspicion, envy, and conflict, what kind of happiness can she ever bring to your life? None, because peace to her feels boring and chaos feels alive. Let me share a story. A man I once knew was dating a woman who always seemed to find a reason to fight. If he didn't text back within 5 minutes, she accused him of not caring. If he wanted to spend one evening alone to recharge, she called him selfish. Even when everything was going well, she would find a way to stir up conflict. At first, he thought, maybe this is her way of showing passion. Maybe it just means she loves me deeply. But soon he realized it wasn't passion, it was addiction. She was addicted to drama. If things were calm, she would create storms. Because in her world, chaos equaled attention and peace equaled neglect. Now pause for a moment and reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever been with a woman who always seemed to test your patience? Who picked fights just to see how much you cared? Who turned small disagreements into full-blown wars? If you're nodding right now, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the Stoic truth. Drama is the weapon of the weak. Marcus Aurelius would remind us that a wise person seeks balance. Because strength is not found in endless battles, but in inner calm. A woman who thrives on drama has not mastered herself. Instead, she uses conflict as a way to fill the emptiness inside her. And here's the danger. You may think you can fix her, that your calmness will balance her chaos. But chaos spreads faster than peace. When you tie yourself to someone who loves drama, you don't lift them up, they pull you down. Now picture this. Imagine coming home after a long, hard day. You want rest, you want comfort, you want silence, but instead you walk into arguments, accusations, and complaints. That is not a home, it's a battlefield. And no man can grow in a battlefield he sleeps in every night. So let me ask you, do you want to spend your life with someone who finds comfort in calmness, or with someone who feels alive only in chaos? Do you want a partner who protects your peace or one who poisons it? Because the truth is simple. A woman who loves drama will never love you. She only loves the attention that drama brings, and as Marcus Aurelius would whisper through time, peace of mind comes when we stop chasing what does not matter. Drama doesn't matter. Peace does. Choose wisely. She blames everyone but herself. Have you ever been in love with a woman who could never admit when she was wrong? No matter how obvious the mistake, somehow it always became your fault, or someone else's, be honest. Didn't it make you feel exhausted? Like you were constantly walking on eggshells? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must stop blaming fate. Accept responsibility for your actions." These words carry weight, because at the heart of wisdom lies responsibility. But here's the problem. A foolish woman rejects responsibility. She plays the victim in every story, and when you're with her, you'll soon notice a dangerous pattern. She blames everyone but herself. Let me tell you a story. A man once shared how in the early days of his relationship, his girlfriend would always complain about her ex-boyfriends. They were all toxic, she said. They never treated me right. At first, he felt protective. He thought he was her savior, the one who would finally show her real love. But months later, he realized something chilling. The same words she used about her ex, she was now using about him. Every argument was his fault. Every disappointment was because he didn't care enough. It took him years to understand the truth. If a woman blames everyone in her past, eventually she will blame you too. Now pause for a moment and reflect on your own relationships. Have you ever heard a woman say things like, "I failed that exam because the teacher didn't like me. I lost that job because the boss was jealous. My friendships never last because people are fake." Did you notice how in all these stories she is never the problem? This is the mark of a foolish woman. She rewrites reality so that she is always the innocent victim. But here's what Marcus Aurelius would tell you. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, every obstacle is a chance to grow. A wise woman knows this. She owns her failures, learns from them, and transforms. But a stupid woman, she points her finger at the world, refusing to see that sometimes the obstacle is within herself. And this refusal to take responsibility makes her dangerous. Because when problems arise in your relationship, do you think she will sit down with you and work together to fix them? No, she will point at you, accuse you, and burden you with guilt that isn't yours to carry. Now imagine this. Picture yourself building a future with a woman like this. You face struggles as every couple does. Instead of partnership, you get blame. Instead of unity, you get division. And slowly, her refusal to take responsibility will crush your spirit. So let me ask you, do you want to build with someone who admits her mistakes and grows beside you? Or do you want to be chained to someone who throws every mistake on your shoulders? Because here's the harsh truth. A woman who cannot own her actions cannot own her love. And without ownership of love, 5, she disrespects you in public. How would you feel if the very woman you love, the one you defend in private, turned around and mocked you in front of others? Maybe she makes a joke at your expense. Maybe she cuts you off mid-sentence. Or maybe she rolls her eyes when you speak, as if your words carry no weight. Be honest, didn't it feel like a punch to the chest? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, dignity is the highest form of strength. But here's the thing. A foolish woman has no understanding of dignity. She doesn't know how to protect her man's image, because she is too busy protecting her own ego. Let me tell you a story. A man I once knew was deeply in love with a woman who seemed charming and playful. In private, they laughed together. But in public, she changed. At dinners with friends, she would mock his job, calling it boring. At parties, she would laugh with others about his habits. At first, he brushed it off, thinking, she's just joking. She doesn't mean harm. But slowly, he realized that everyone around them started to see him through her words. Her jokes weren't jokes, they were attacks. And instead of lifting him up, she was tearing him down piece by piece. Now think about your own life. Has a woman you loved ever belittled you in front of others? Maybe she said something sarcastic about your career. Maybe she teased you for being too serious, or maybe she revealed private things to embarrass you. Did you laugh it off, pretending it was nothing, while inside, your respect for her crumbled? This is the 5th sign of a stupid woman. She disrespects you in public. Why is this so serious? Because respect is the foundation of love. You can forgive mistakes. You can move past disagreements, but once respect is gone, love is only a shadow of what it once was. And a woman who publicly disrespects you is not only damaging your relationship, she is damaging your reputation. A wise woman understands that in public she is her man's shield. She uplifts him, she supports him, and she makes others respect him more. A foolish woman, on the other hand, becomes the sword that cuts him down in front of everyone else. Marcus Aurelius would remind you, If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. A woman who mocks her man in public is violating both. So ask yourself this: do you want to share your life with a woman who makes you look small in front of others, or with one who makes you look greater than you feel? Do you want to spend your days defending yourself against the one who should be defending you? Because the truth is simple. A woman who disrespects you in public has already disrespected you in private. And a man who values his peace cannot ignore this. A wise woman knows that protecting her man's dignity is not weakness, it's love. A foolish one confuses disrespect with strength. And the choice of which woman you allow into your life will decide whether you walk with pride or live with shame. First, she values pleasure over purpose. Have you ever been with a woman who was always chasing the next thrill, the next high, the next pleasure, but never the next purpose? Think about it. Maybe she loved parties, nights out, expensive gifts, endless entertainment. But when you asked her about her dreams, her vision, her purpose in life, there was only silence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." Now, if we flip this wisdom and apply it to women, what do we see? A foolish woman has no ambition beyond comfort and pleasure. She doesn't ask, "What can I build? What can I create?" Instead, she asks, "What can I enjoy? What can I consume?" Let me tell you a story. A man I once knew dated a woman who lived for pleasure. She loved shopping, expensive dinners, and spontaneous vacations. In the beginning, it felt exciting. Life with her was never boring. But as time went on, he noticed something missing. She never talked about growth, about family, about building something meaningful together. She wasn't interested in his struggles or his goals. She was only interested in whether the weekend would bring fun. One evening, after a long day of work, he tried to share with her the stress he was under. Instead of listening, she rolled her eyes and said, "You think too much. Why don't you just relax? Let's go out and have fun." That's when it hit him. She didn't want to walk the difficult road of life with him. She only wanted the easy parts. Now pause for a second. Have you ever felt the same? Have you been with a woman who avoided responsibility, who never wanted to face struggles, who ran from challenges and hid behind distractions? Maybe you were building your career while she was scrolling endlessly on her phone. Maybe you were thinking about the future while she was living only for the moment. This is the sixth sign of a stupid woman. She values pleasure over purpose. And here's the danger. You cannot build a meaningful life with someone who avoids meaning. If your purpose is to grow, to achieve, to build a legacy, but her purpose is just to enjoy, your paths will never align. She will become a distraction, a weight that pulls you away from your destiny. Marcus Aurelius believed in purpose above pleasure. He taught that true strength comes from living according to virtue, not chasing temporary desires. A wise woman understands this. She enjoys life. Yes, but she doesn't live only for enjoyment. She supports her man's vision. She has her own dreams. And together they build something greater than themselves. So let me ask you honestly, do you want a woman who only wants to dance when the music is playing? Or do you want a woman who will walk with you when the music stops? Do you want someone who seeks comfort at every turn? Or someone who shares your hunger for growth? Because here's the truth, pleasure fades but purpose lasts. And if she cannot value purpose over pleasure, then she cannot walk the Stoic path with you. 7. She cannot handle silence. Have you ever been with someone who couldn't sit still in silence? Someone who had to fill every quiet moment with chatter, noise, or distraction? Think about it. How many times have you been sitting in peace, reflecting on life, and suddenly she says, "Why are you so quiet? Is something wrong?" Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." A wise woman understands the value of silence. A foolish woman fears it because silence forces her to face herself. Let me tell you a story. A man I knew once dated a woman who was terrified of silence. Whenever they were together, she needed constant stimulation, music playing, TV on, endless talking, constant scrolling through her phone. If the room went quiet, she grew uncomfortable. She mistook his moments of calm reflection for boredom or disinterest. One evening, he was simply sitting on the balcony, watching the sunset, enjoying a moment of peace. She interrupted with, "You don't love me anymore, do you? You're too quiet." Imagine that. She equated silence with rejection, instead of recognizing it as strength. Now ask yourself, have you ever experienced this? Have you been with a woman who constantly needed drama, noise, or distraction because she couldn't handle the depth of silence? Did she get anxious when you withdrew into your thoughts? Did she confuse your stillness with emotional distance? This is the seventh sign of a stupid woman. She cannot handle silence. And here's the danger: if she cannot sit in silence, she cannot truly sit with herself. She fears the mirror of stillness because it forces her to face her own insecurities. She hides behind endless noise, endless activity, endless distraction. But a man walking the Stoic path needs silence. He needs space to reflect, to recharge, to connect with his inner fortress. Marcus Aurelius and the other Stoics valued silence as sacred. They believed wisdom grows not in noise but in stillness. If your partner cannot share that stillness with you, she will constantly drag you out of it, keeping you away from the peace that makes you strong. A wise woman, on the other hand, doesn't panic in silence. She doesn't rush to fill it with empty words. She understands that silence between two souls is not distance, it's depth. It means you are so secure with one another that words aren't always needed. So I'll ask you again, what kind of woman do you want? One who clings to constant noise because she's terrified of facing herself? Or one who embraces silence with you, knowing that peace is more powerful than endless chatter? Because here's the truth. The woman who cannot handle silence will never allow you to grow in wisdom. But the woman who can sit with you in stillness, she is the one who truly understands the language of the soul. For she is driven by jealousy and envy. Have you ever achieved something in your life? Maybe a promotion, maybe you bought a new car, or maybe you were simply admired by others. And instead of celebrating with you, she became cold, distant, or even upset. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The mind that envies another is never at rest." And this is the truth. A woman who is driven by jealousy and envy will never truly rest in love, because she will always see life as a competition instead of a partnership. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who worked hard, built his business from the ground up, and finally began to see the rewards of his effort. Instead of being proud of him, his girlfriend grew resentful. She would say things like, "You don't spend enough time with me anymore," or "Must be nice to buy yourself things." "Well, I don't have enough." Instead of cheering for his success, she wanted to pull him down to her level because his progress reminded her of her own lack of growth. That, my friends, is the poison of envy. Now let me bring this closer to you. Have you ever noticed a woman becoming jealous when other women admire you, or when you receive attention for your talents? Did she accuse you, control you, or even sabotage you, instead of trusting your loyalty and being proud of the man you are? That's the eighth sign of a stupid woman. She is driven by jealousy and envy. Here's the problem. Jealousy might feel like love to some people. Oh, she's jealous, so she must care about me. But no, jealousy is not love. Jealousy is fear dressed in love's clothing. It's fear of losing control, fear of being outshined, fear of not being enough. A wise woman knows that your success is her success. A foolish woman believes your success is a threat. She doesn't compete with strangers. She competes with the man she claims to love. And how can love grow in such poisoned soil? The Stoics warned us about envy, because it eats away at peace. Envy keeps you trapped, always comparing, never grateful. And when you tie yourself to a woman who is controlled by it, you will find yourself defending your every achievement instead of celebrating it. But let's pause for a moment and reflect. Imagine being with a woman who, instead of envying you, claps for you louder than anyone else. A woman who sees your victories as shared victories. A woman who isn't afraid when others admire you because she knows you are hers. That is the mark of wisdom, not stupidity. So here's the test. When you rise, does she rise with you, or does she resent you? Because the woman who is driven by jealousy and envy will not just ruin her peace, she will ruin yours too. 9. She cannot love beyond herself. Have you ever been in love with someone who seemed to care only when it benefited them? Someone who loved you when it was convenient, when it fed their ego, or when it gave them comfort, but disappeared the moment sacrifice was required? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good." True love, just like true virtue, is not self-centered. It flows outward, beyond the self, toward the other person. But a foolish woman, what I call a stupid woman, cannot love beyond herself. Her world begins and ends with me, myself, and I. Let me tell you a story. A man I knew once fell for a woman who seemed warm, affectionate, and deeply caring at first. She showered him with attention when he was doing well. when the relationship was fun, when life was easy. But when he faced hardship, when his business took a hit and his spirit grew heavy, she slowly pulled away. She wasn't there to support him through the storm. She was only there when the sun was shining. One night, when he finally asked her why she seemed so distant, she answered coldly, "I didn't sign up for all this struggle." Now pause for a moment. Does that hit home? Have you ever felt that sting? Have you ever realized that the woman you loved was only in love with what you could give her, not with you? That is the ninth and final sign of a stupid woman. She cannot love beyond herself. Her affection is conditional. She measures love by what she receives, not by what she gives. She sees relationships as transactions, attention for attention, pleasure for pleasure, comfort for comfort. But love that is rooted in selfishness will always collapse when tested by time, struggle, or sacrifice. Contrast this with the wisdom of the Stoics. They taught that love, like virtue, must be unselfish. It must extend beyond personal gain. A wise woman loves not only when it is easy, but when it is hard. She stands beside you not only in victory, but also in defeat. She loves not only what you provide, but who you are. So I ask you, what kind of woman is in your life right now? One who clings to you only when you're shining? Or one who remains with you in silence, in struggle, in storms? Because here's the truth. The woman who cannot love beyond herself will drain you, weaken you, and leave you emptier than before. But the woman who can look beyond herself, who can truly give of her heart, that is the woman who brings peace. The kind Marcus Aurelius himself would call in harmony with nature and virtue. And if you ever find her, cherish her, because she is rare. Closing. So my friends, these are the 9 signs of a stupid woman according to Stoic philosophy. Remember, Marcus Aurelius didn't write about women but about wisdom, discipline, and character. And if we apply his teachings to relationships, the truth becomes clear.